Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS, presenting to you the daily quiz for 4th of December 2022. But before we begin, let me remind you to join our official Telegram channel. By joining this channel, you will get regular updates on current affairs, on our workshops, scholarship tests, and much more. So do join our Telegram channel by clicking on the link given in the description box below. Now let us begin and take a look at the first question for today. How many of the given statements is or are incorrect? Number 1, the most abundant isotope of carbon in the atmosphere is carbon 14. Number 2, carbon 14 is a radioactive isotope of carbon and is the basis for carbon dating. Number 3, radiocarbon dating provides most accurate results for objects older than 60,000 years. What is the context? This article in the Hindu newspaper today talks about a 1,000-year-old shipwreck and the plans to conserve which have not turned out fruitful. And the very same article also has a mention of radiocarbon dating, and that is why this question. So what exactly is this carbon dating or radiocarbon dating? Carbon dating is a widely used method which is applied to establish the age of organic material, that is, the things that were once living. This radiocarbon dating method makes use of the fact that a particular isotope of carbon called C14 or carbon 14 is radioactive and decays at a certain rate. Right? Let me explain this. See, plants get their carbon through the process of photosynthesis, right? And animals get it mainly through food. And because plants and animals get their carbon from the atmosphere, they too acquire carbon 12 and carbon 14 isotopes in roughly the same proportion that is available in the atmosphere. Here, it is important to understand that the most abundant isotope of carbon in the atmosphere is carbon 12. And a very small amount of carbon 14 is also present in the atmosphere. The ratio of carbon 12 and carbon 14 in the atmosphere is almost static. Now, these plants and animals who have acquired carbon from the atmosphere, when they die, the interaction with the atmosphere stops, correct? So there is no further intake of carbon and no outgo either because the metabolism stops, right? So now this carbon 12 is stable and does not decay. But carbon 14 is radioactive. And this isotope of carbon reduces to 1/2 of itself in about 5,730 years. And this is what is known as its half-life. So, after a plant or an animal dies, the ratio of carbon 12 to carbon 14 in the body or its remains begin to change, right? And this change can be measured and can be used to deduce the approximate time when the organism died. But can we find the age of every other object through radiocarbon dating? No. The age of the things that are more than 40,000 to 50,000 years cannot be arrived at through carbon dating. Why? Because after 8 to 10 cycles of this half-lives, the amount of carbon 14 in that organism becomes almost negligible or undetectable. And that is exactly why for some of the fossils that are older than 40 to 50,000 years, it becomes difficult to figure out their age through carbon dating. Now coming back to our question. Statement number 1 here is incorrect because it is carbon 12 that is most abundant in the atmosphere. Statement number 2 is correct. Statement number 3 here is incorrect because when the object is older than 60,000 years, the amount of carbon 14 in it becomes almost negligible or undetectable. So the right answer to our question would be option B, 2 statements only, because the question is asking us for incorrect statements. Moving on to question number 2. How many among the following musical instruments classify as Tata Vadya? Number 1, Tanpura. Number 2, Kamaicha. Number 3, Pelankarovi. Number 4, Jhanch. What is the context? This article in the Hindu newspaper today has a reference to the Tanpura. And that is why this question. Tanpura, also referred to as tambura or tanpuri, is a type of a chordophone or a stringed instrument, also called as Tatavadya. To play this instrument, strings are plucked continuously with index and middle fingers and it provides the basic shruti or swara to the performers. So Tanpura here is a Tatavadya. Kamaicha is an instrument that is played by the Manganiars in the West Rajasthan, and this, as we can see here, is a chordophone or Tata Vadya again. Now coming to instruments such as flutes or pilankarovi. These are called as Sushira Vadya or aerophones. The other classification is Avannadha Vadya or membranophones, which are percussion instruments like the tabla. And the final classification is Ghanavadya or ideophones, which are instruments that do not require any tuning. For example, the jhanj, which can be seen in this image. So coming back to our question, Tanpura and Kamaicha are the only two instruments which can be classified as Tatavadya. Therefore, option B, 2 only, would be the right answer. Moving on to question number 3. Which of the following pairs are correctly matched? Here are the tribes and the states that they belong to. Number 1, Gond and Korku, Madhya Pradesh. Bhutia, Lepcha, Sikkim. Irula and Toda, Chhattisgarh. Saharia and Agaria, Assam. See, for our UPSC prelims, we must know about the different tribes that are in news, the particularly vulnerable tribal groups that are in news, how are they classified, why are they classified as PVTGs, and much more. Now let us discuss about these tribes that have been in news. If you've been following the news religiously, you would have come across something known as Hari Jiroti. If not, let me tell you that every monsoon, the Gond and the Korku tribes of Madhya Pradesh celebrate Hari Jiroti. It is a month-long festival of greenery during which the tribals plant saplings of fruit-bearing trees. So we know first pairing is correct. This automatically eliminates option B and option C. Now coming to Bhutia and Lepcha. See, Bhutia and Lepcha are scheduled tribes who live in the state of Sikkim. So 2 becomes correct. So we have already arrived at our answer, which is option A, 1 and 2 only. But let us also discuss about the other remaining tribes. See, the Toda is a pastoral tribe who live in the Nilgiri hills of South India. And Irula, also known as Iruliga, are inhabitants of the state of Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. So 3 becomes incorrect. Now coming to Saharias and Agarias. Saharia is an ethnic group in the state of Madhya Pradesh and also some districts of Rajasthan. These tribes are classified as particularly vulnerable tribal groups. And the Agaria tribe is reckoned as the most backward tribes of Madhya Pradesh. But they can also be found in parts of UP, Chhattisgarh and also Jharkhand, but not in Assam. So 4 would also be incorrect. Why have we picked up this question? Because there is a reference to the Korku tribe in today's PIB article. Now moving on to question number 4. How many of the following states or UTs have a common state animal? Number 1, Assam. Number 2, Delhi. Number 3, Karnataka. Number 4, Jharkhand. To answer this question, we must know the state animals of each of these states or union territory. Before that, we must understand that the state animals and state birds are eminent part of the biodiversity of India and of that particular state. So, while you don't have to memorize all these state animals and state birds, it is important to take a look at the ones that are in news and also understand the fauna of that region and interlink such information while studying or even while answering such questions. For example, Assam here is well known for one-horned rhinos. The Kaziranga and also the Pobitora wildlife sanctuaries have one of the highest number of one-horned rhinos, and this is the state animal of Assam. So option A can be immediately eliminated. Now, the state animal of Delhi is Nilgai. Nilgai is often in news because of the damage it causes to the crops. Some of the states in India have even classified them as vermin animals because they damage the standing crops. So you might have come across this in the news often. Now coming to state animals of Karnataka and Jharkhand. The state animal of these two states is elephant. So the right answer here would be option B, 2 only. There is another state in India which has declared elephant as its state animal. Which is this state? Let me know in the comment section. The reason we've picked up this question for discussion is because of the reference to Nilgai in this article in the Hindu newspaper today. Now let us take up a previous year question from Prelims paper 2017. The term M stripes is sometimes seen in the news in the context of option A, captive breeding of wild fauna. Option B, maintenance of tiger reserves. Option C, indigenous satellite navigation system. Option D is security of national highways. Here, M-Stripe stands for Monitoring System for Tigers, Intensive Protection and Ecological Status. And this is a software-based monitoring system that was launched across Indian tiger reserves by the National Tiger Conservation Authority. So the right answer to our question here must be option B, maintenance of tiger reserves. Now let us take up the fact of the day for today, which is Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan. See, government schemes are important for both UPSC prelims and mains. And since there is a reference to the Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan in today's PIB article, we will be discussing about this particular campaign of the Government of India in the Fact of the Day segment. This Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan is also known as the Accessible India campaign. And this is a government scheme for the differently abled community in India. This campaign was launched by the government in the year 2015 with a target date as 2018. But later, the deadline has been extended due to its slow progress. But what exactly is this campaign for? See, this campaign seeks to make at least 50% of all the government buildings in the national capital and also all the state capitals fully accessible for the differently able segment of the population. And also, deadlines have been set to make airports and railway stations accessible to the differently abled. So basically, Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan focuses on developing accessible physical environment, transportation systems, and also information and communication ecosystems. And also, it aims to develop an inclusive society in which equal opportunities and access is provided for the growth and development of differently abled people or Divyangjans. Here, it wouldn't be out of place to discuss about the Accessible India mobile application as well. This mobile application has been launched with a vision to create an inclusive, barrier-free environment by identifying the gaps and filling them by the concerned authorities. So this will enable the people with disabilities as well as the elderly people in registering accessibility related problems in the modes of transport, in different buildings or any infrastructure by just uploading the pictures on the mobile application. That is all for today. Thank you for being with us. Keep watching and keep learning.